Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big Ice Week welcome to Stephanie Dubois, Director Program Owner, SAPPHIRE Now.
Thank you, Peter. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the SAP offices in Paris. Since most of us have been unable to travel for the past few months, I thought it'd be nice for me to share the view that I get to enjoy every day when I come to the office, and that I've come to miss a great deal during those months of confinement. My name is Stephanie Dubois, and I have the immense privilege of leading the team that designs, builds, and operates SAPPHIRE Now. For those of you who haven't heard of it before, SAPPHIRE Now is SAP's flagship event, the crown jewel, if you will. We're going to spend the next 30 minutes talking about SAPPHIRE Now, about its inception 30 years ago, its growth, its culminating success in 2019, and its rebirth after the world suddenly changed a few months ago. And we're going to talk about the successes and challenges of 2020 and the painful yet valuable lessons that we can all carry with us as we build the future of events. So let's start with a bit of history. The first ever SAPPHIRE Now took place on November 9th, 1989. Does the date sound familiar? It should. Hasso Plattner, one of our co-founders, actually interrupted a presentation during the event to announce that the Berlin Wall had fallen that day. Now, for the first ever user conference of a German company, that was an auspicious beginning. About 180 people got together in New Jersey that day to exchange information on SAP's products, business strategies, and on their experiences as users. The success was immediate, and the conference became an annual event, bringing more customers, partners, SAP representatives together every year and fostering open dialogue, a sense of community, and active collaboration between all the members of the growing SAP ecosystem. By '93, the first exhibitor program was rolled out. By '96, we had multiple instances of the conference in North America, Europe, and Asia. By the year 2000, we had passed the bar of 10,000 attendees. I know what you're thinking, of course. She couldn't possibly have been around back then. She looks way too good to be that old. Well, thank you. I first started working on SAPPHIRE Now in 2011 and 2012. At the time, I was in charge of organizing reference meetings and customer-to-customer networking opportunities in the European instance of the event. In 2013, the decision was made to concentrate all efforts into one event located in the US and built as a global international experience. That's important for what I'll talk about in a minute, because we thought we knew how to build a global conference, and we've come a long way since. In 2014, I joined that core team to oversee the content delivery workstream. At the time, content was already king. Of course, we knew that content and networking were the two factors that our attendees valued above all else. But we hadn't quite figured out yet how to really make content front and center. The content strategy and the event experience were designed in parallel and then made to fit together, even if sometimes we had to shoehorn one into the other. In September of 2018, I was asked to take the lead and oversee the entire program. It was the first time this mission had been entrusted to someone who came from the content side of things and not someone with a deep knowledge and long experience of event operations. And that was, to me, the first sign that we were ready to start a major shift. And to confirm this, a new head of global events was nominated, Johan Reed, who had an extensive background in product and content marketing, but very little experience of events. And this was it. In 2019 was the year when we were really able to put the content at the heart of everything and design the entire event around it. SAPPHIRE Now became a truly content-driven event, centered around and tailored to our multiple audiences. We built a content strategy that revolved around the neighborhood concept. Each neighborhood, HR, procurement, business platform, each neighborhood was designed so that each audience could live, learn, and play within that area. And that strategy was then reflected into the experience design. For instance, the show floor was larger yet easier than ever to navigate. We even took the liberty of breaking away from the traditional SAP color scheme and dig deep into the secondary nuances of our graphic chart to create a colorful, joyful atmosphere. There were no barriers between the neighborhoods because SAP's business is highly integrated. So you could walk from one to the other seamlessly, yet you always knew where you were thanks to the bright colors and clever lighting system. We also had, for instance, catering available everywhere, so that if someone wanted to stay and dive deep into their favorite topic, they didn't have to walk out of their neighborhood. We had immersive experiential showcases. One example I can give is the airplane in the middle of the show floor. You could enter the building and be entirely surrounded by LED screens and sound effects and be immersed in the story of how collecting experience data enables companies to respond faster and better to customer expectations, with an airline as an example. Another one was a basketball game. Attendees could shoot hoops, and the showcase gave them stats on their performance, compare that to NBA players, and demonstrated the power of SAP's analytics solutions in a very playful way. Our communications were better targeted, both before the event for audience acquisition and during and after, to amplify the events and the company's message through social media and influencers. In the end, we broke records of attendance with our Lady Gaga concert on Celebration Night. In fact, we broke records of attendance, period, and records of attendee satisfaction. It was such a big hit that we won both the BizBash Award for Best Corporate Event Concept and the Best B2B Conference X Award from Event Marketer. I bet you're wondering why we didn't win an ICE award. Well, that's only because we didn't manage to apply in time. I could talk about all of this for hours, but I'm told I have to let other people talk as well. So let me save some time and give you a bit of the flavor of our 2019 show with a short video, courtesy of our show floor design and production partner, Freeman.
When you change the mindset around an event by asking, what are the things that our attendees need to hear from us? It changes everything.
This year's Sapphire is different because they spent the time to change the way that they show the floor.
The true inspiration came from the content strategy.
The content shapes every experience, from the show floor layout all the way down to the design of the theater sessions and how those things are scheduled with other content on the show floor. And we typically divide that into sort of 3 types of content. There's engagement, inspiration, and information. Engaging content are things like experiential showcases. Then there's the inspirational piece, where we have this design to operate showcase on the show floor, where we're inspiring our customers to see the art of the possible. And then the informing part. We've got over 740 customer speakers this year who are presenting their stories, how they worked with us to achieve the business outcomes that they were trying to drive.
Here on the show floor, we have around 30 social media influencers, and they'll be live tweeting about what they're seeing, what they're hearing. They can make an impact out there in social media to a virtual audience.
I like to look at the event as a multiplier of content. So if we build that showcase, that's one piece of content that we're placing on the show floor. But then we can write a blog about it. We can have a time-lapse video of the construction of the showcase. We then see an attendee was very interested in this showcase. We can then use the content that we create from this Showtime content to follow up with them. Really, really proud of the work that the team has done and the operational way that we brought the content to the show and built the show around it.
Pretty cool, huh? Well, that event ended on May 9th of 2019. By May 28th, the core team was back together in Boston for a brainstorm session to start planning 2020. We were so energized by the success, we couldn't wait to build upon that. And indeed, we spent the following 10 months working tirelessly to take what we had done well in 2019 and bring it to a whole new level. We opened registrations earlier than ever with a widely successful Thanksgiving promotion that was accompanied with a communication strategy centered around personalization and based on attendee insights. We had all but finished creating the largest, most comprehensive showcase that told the end-to-end SAP story through an immersive, interactive experience and with a clear message on sustainability and personal engagement. We invested to redesign and rebuild all our physical assets, to create microenvironments, promote approachability, and enhance the learning experience. Oh, and our creative director, Philip Smead, was determined to reinvent our keynotes for a more screen-friendly format. Talk about foresight. And then, in March, well, you all know what happened. This tiny but powerful brand new virus put the whole world on hold. We were more than halfway through a fast-paced marathon with the finish line in sight when the rug was savagely pulled from under our feet. It was completely out of anyone's control, really. And we had to pivot in no time at all. Recreate an event that had been 30 years in the making in 3 months. Shift hundreds of years of accumulated experience, skills, know-how to do something none of us had ever done in 3 months. And since I'm here to talk about both successes and challenges, I cannot not acknowledge the shock we all experienced. As leaders of teams, as event professionals, we cannot underestimate the emotional toll this collective experience has caused. Because these 3 months that we've had to entirely reinvent the way we work were not your ordinary 3 months. We couldn't get together and brainstorm the heck out of this new challenge. We were stuck home, cut from family and friends and support systems. Some of us had to face the many weeks of lockdown completely alone. Some of us did so while homeschooling their children. Some of them, with loved ones that were considered at risk, went through that time with fear in their hearts. Health was threatened. Jobs were threatened. Our entire industry seemed to have been brought to its knees. For many of us who saw their events get canceled, it was months of hard work down the drain. But no matter how much some of us might have preferred to get into a fetal position and cry our emotions out, there was no time to mourn, and there was no time to feel sorry for ourselves. You, me, all of us jumped right into the thick of things and started creating something entirely new on a scale that none of us had ever encountered. When it came to Sapphire Now, what we knew from the get-go was that we didn't want an exact translation of the physical event into a virtual one. The heart and soul of physical events is the human connection, the face-to-face interaction, the concentration of new encounters. Sapphire Now brings 22,000 people together. It hosts some 1,200 live sessions and over 7,000 face-to-face meetings with experts, executives, other customers, partners, press, analysts. There's no way to recreate that exactly, not on such a large scale. So we decided to create a whole new experience designed for the online audience. With still the same principle in mind that had been our driver in 2019, the content is the driver. As we started adapting the content strategy we had for our physical event, we realized we had a huge opportunity to broaden our reach. Paradoxically, reaching a broader, ever more global audience means we have to reach them where they are, in their local markets, in their own languages, with content that is relevant to them specifically. A more global reach means more localization. So we decided that centrally we would produce a number of global videos covering the big lines of the company's strategy that would be relevant across the globe. And step 1 of localization was to have all of that content translated, subtitled into 9 different languages. Then step 2 was to offer additional complementary content that would be recorded in local languages by local experts and relevant to local markets. So we decided to offer 13 different local platforms. Each would broadcast the global content according to a follow the sun schedule and add their own content based on the priorities of their own audiences. And the last but not the least difference with a physical event. The same way Sapphire Now Reimagined, as we now called it, was not limited to a certain location. It was not to be limited to a certain time frame either. There was launch week with the keynote and premiere videos, but it's meant to be always on and a cornerstone of the overall digital marketing strategy for the company. And then the magnitude of what we had to accomplish started to hit us. That was a very ambitious plan. In our minds, it was clear. We had to go from delivering our content for an on-site audience, slides, the stage, speaker doesn't look at the people watching from home through the camera, a format that, even though it could be and it was broadcasted, was designed and thought for the live audience, like this.
I'm transforming SAP into an intelligent enterprise using our own technology. There is one common principle we as SAP have to apply in both worlds. We need to design and develop the intelligent enterprise from a customer and employee perspective, meaning outside in.
And we knew we had to move into a format that was designed for screen viewing, modern, dynamic, integrated, up close and personal, immersive, like that.
No doubt, in the current crisis, health, safety, and business continuity are top priorities. But let's not forget, our biggest challenge out there is the climate change. We are at the turning point. Just as we cannot ignore the pandemic and its impact, we cannot continue to ignore climate change and the contribution of our enterprises. If major industries such as utilities, agriculture, and transport alone were to use digital technology to significantly reduce their carbon output, this could equal the positive impact of 500 billion trees. Just imagine the impact if all industries joined the effort. We can make this happen, as 85% of the largest carbon emission intensive companies want our software to manage their processes.
Now, that second clip is a small piece of the result of what we ended up producing. Let me tell you something. 3 months ago, we had no idea how to go about it. Our creative director had some extensive experience with video production, but he's only one person, and we had a lot of ground to cover. So the first thing we did was expand the team and ask as many colleagues as we could find that had a background in TV or video production to join us. Turns out we found quite a few hidden gems. They helped us bring our content strategy and our messaging to life. We also had a lot of transferable skills within the team that we were able to redirect and leverage. For instance, an event operations manager is first and foremost an excellent project manager. We made sure to enroll all our best players to project manage the different production work streams, and they effectively became production managers. Okay, so content production is on the way. Now, how about promotion? Audience acquisition. There again, this was quite different from our usual scope. So we requested and found the help of our colleagues in digital marketing. They helped our own communications and audience acquisition team to set attendance targets. They helped us define promotion and paid media strategy for before, during, and after launch week. Oh, and another large and important group of colleagues we enrolled was the field marketing teams in the regional and local market units. We could not possibly run 13 different sites in 13 different languages, each with their own content and their own schedules, centrally and on our own without their help. I have to say, each and every one of the people we solicited and enrolled stepped up to the challenge. It was quite a beautiful thing to watch, really. Especially when the worst thing happened. I know some of you did look at what SAP was doing. You were expecting high production values and high impact content, and I dare say you weren't disappointed in that respect. But if you did watch Launch Week, then I'm sure you're wondering now if I'm going to acknowledge the epic fail we had to manage. And of course I'm going to address it. I strongly believe that failures must be celebrated as much as successes, because they're as much a source of learning, if not more. For those of you that were not watching, here's what happened. We were ready to go live with our CEO's keynote broadcast, which was supposed to end with a Sting performance. We had over 100,000 registrations. We were ready to go. But the platform doesn't respond. People can't get in. It's not slow. It's not that you have to try several times to get in. The platform is dead, with no hope of recovery. Within minutes, we decided to move the broadcast to LinkedIn and Twitter Live and redirect the platform there. Within hours, we had everything ready to go on YouTube, and within a day, we had entirely transformed the SAP.com website to become our new video distribution platform. The website team is another one that joined us, by the way, and delivered like they might not have known themselves that they could. I know what you're wondering. Of course, we had tested the platform. We had contingency plans in case of overload. Multiple stress tests had been conducted. We were prepared for a multitude of worst-case scenarios. We were not quite prepared for the ultimate worst-case scenario, which was that all the scenarios we'd anticipated would combine into one. It felt to us like a total catastrophe. And of course, we received some slack on social media, because you'll always have the smug passerby that says something like, "How can you screw this up? It's not that hard." Yeah, it is. But none of that lasted, because it was such an amazing thing to see everyone jump in to help. We were working around the clock, 15 to 20-hour shifts the entire week. I saw the sun rise more times in that week than I can remember seeing it ever. And also because the conversation quickly shifted. The technical mishap was quickly forgotten when the value of the content we published became more interesting to discuss. The quality of the work showed, and the efforts paid off. Our audience stuck with us through it all, with more than 500,000 views that first week, despite the platform falling through. And that number has nearly doubled since, with the always-on and on-demand content available. We have reached a broader audience than the last, 6, 10 Sapphire Now combined. The conversation is very much alive, and the sentiment is overwhelmingly positive. I'm not going to lie, that experience was exhausting, but you don't have to look very far to see the silver lining. It has brought our team much closer together. It has shown many individuals how resilient and strong they were, and how flexible and valuable their skills are. We've learned a lot about a new way to create, produce, and distribute content, and we are very eager to bring these new learnings into our events in the future. Which brings me to the very last point of this talk. What's next, you ask? Well, if one of you has a crystal ball that can show me how the situation will evolve in the next 12 months, give me a call. What I do know is I miss physical events and actual human interaction, and I don't believe I'm the only one. Digital events can never quite replace that. I also know that we will never completely step away from digital events anymore. It's too good a way to reach broad and new audiences. Physical events will never scale to that level. So the near future is going to be one very interesting exercise to create models that have just the right balance between scale and personal connection, and that have the right level of flexibility to be able to respond to a kind of crisis that we never even knew we needed to be prepared for. I can't tell you just yet what Sapphire Now 2021 will be like, but I can tell you it'll be all of that and then some. With any luck, this time next year, we'll all be together in London and I'll be able to give you that update in person. For now, this marks the end of my talk. Please remember to celebrate your failures as much as your successes. They're how you move on to the next level and create the future. Thank you for listening.